I forgot to put the countdown on. Hello, everybody. Welcome along. Impromptu start. Should we? I reckon we do it properly. See you in a moment. Well, that was a bit weird, wasn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, I kind of totally messed that up. So, yeah, it's been a long week, but we're almost there. It's a Thursday night preview tonight. Game day Friday, ladies and gents. And that only means one thing. And that means it's on Sky. So that means we're going to lose. Yeah, I'd be confident if it wasn't on Sky. But because it's on Sky, I'm not confident at all. Not at all. Under a senior, the game that we've played on Sky, I believe was a draw, unless we played Wigan on Sky as well, because that was moved. But I'm not too sure. Hi Ben, how you doing, pal? So Bristol with Johnny. Johnny Hayton. Is this when I shook hands with Johnny in the concourse? Johnny Hayton, what a man. Up the Tigers, Ollie. Evening, Leo. I'm all right, pal. How are you? Evening, Isaac. I've said my piece on that. We'll do my predicted team later in the stream. Evening, Brendan. You all says 2010 Swansea. I'm all right, Ollie. Thank you. We won't lose. I don't know if this Sky Sports thing is a joke or it's genuinely factual. If you discount the playoffs, we have not won a championship game on Sky a league championship game on Sky since New Year's Day 2016. That is fact. That's fact. It's a curse. It is a curse. Yeah, it's a curse. Up the Tigers, Owen. Evening, Ashley. 3-5-2. Ebbie Owen left wing back. Was Blackburn on Sky? Let me have a look. Mika, Dimmy, Andy Dawson, travel notice. Oh, yeah, it has. It was on Sky then. Yeah, it was. I have checked it. It was. Yeah. I think that one is definitely an anomaly because we had Arjun. Arjun came in earlier that night. We had such a good feel around the club at that time on that night. The players got told the night before that it was done, and the fans were so overjoyed at the fact it was done. I think the overwhelming feeling within the club beat the Sky curse. But Yeah, our record on Sky still isn't great. 1 win since 2016, if you discount the playoffs. That's not good. That's not good at all. I'm not feeling confident, but seeing West Brom got a few injuries, I'd take a draw. Yeah, I'd take a draw. I'd definitely take a draw. Don't make excuses. Good point. Good point. Hi, Tiger Lair. How are you? Ben, he's my granddad's mate, and all I could talk about for the whole second half was I can't believe I saw Grandpa Joe. Well, top 6 push next year for me. I think it's over for this season. It would take something very special this season to get in the playoffs, especially because statistically we have the hardest run of games towards the end of the season. Will's exactly right. It's not over until it's over in the Championship, but we have a very, very, very difficult run. And if you look at average position in the table, the second tier podcast did a fantastic table earlier of who's got based on table positions, who's got the hardest and easiest run of games. Let me find it. But we have the hardest. We have the hardest run. I've got the tweet here from second tier. Yeah. So the average position of teams we have to face in this running is 8.9. That's the highest of any team. So at this moment in time, statistically, we have the hardest running. And so if things don't go our way, I don't think we should necessarily. Fans will, of course, moan and whinge and stuff. Like, it's just the way it is. But some of them take it too far. Some of them take it miles too far. But we do need to take that into consideration. This is by no game is easy in the Championship, but we have the hardest running in terms of table position of any team. But our defensive record since Liam Rosenior has come in is the third best in the league. Since Liam Rosenior was appointed, only Burnley and West Brom have conceded fewer goals than us. And we are getting, as you say, plenty of attacking quality back from injury. When I say I just froze and asked Johnny, how the hell does he know you? What did Johnny say? I got really mad because I didn't say anything. Oh, Ben. You'll see. Are you going to Coventry, pal? You might see me there. I met you one time. Solid. Yeah, I'll be at Coventry. If we could just get top half, that would be our highest finish in the league since 2017. And you know what? Top half is achievable. At the start of the season, I said we'd finish 10th. Now, after our start under Shotter, that didn't look particularly likely. But Rosenior has clawed it back and then some. He's massively clawed away from the relegation zone, propelled us up the league, and we are, I'm going to say with chest, because I have that faith now, I think we are safe. Yeah. And next season is the way, once Rosenior's had a full transfer window, yeah, we can then start looking more towards playoffs and all this sort of stuff. But that Stoke and Norwich were massive reality checks. And, you know, some fans have taken that massively too far. in terms of the criticism that players have received and that Rosenior has got in some parts, which I find ridiculous. But anyway, next season is the one once he's had a full transfer window to mould the squad again. Because although he slimmed it down, we've still got a lot of players out on loan. Let me get my sheet out of out on loan. Players. So out on loan, we've got Cynic, who will come back in, Fleming, who will come back in, Tyler Smith might not, Andy Smith, who definitely will, he's class, Harvey Cartwright, and Uriel Theli. That's 6 players there. Theli will come in January, but I think he will go out on loan again straight after that. But he's still got to slim that squad down more. He's still got to streamline the squad because, and we've got a lot of players out of contract as well. And this is going to be big because for FFP, the wage increases that these players might want after they've seen Seri, Tufan, Pelkas all come in who are big earners. I know Dimmy's on loan, but we'll definitely be paying something of his salary at Fenerbahce. Baxter, out of contract. I'll go first team. Baxter, Connolly, Kerville, Coyle, Darlow, Doherty, Ebioe, Elder, McLaughlin, Alfie Jones, Pelkas, Simons, Tyler Smith. So that's 9 first teamers. Plus you chuck in Dave Robson, who's on the fringes. You chuck in Will Jarvis, who's on the fringes. Matty Jacob, who's on the fringes. Josh Hines. It doesn't get... The list is only going to get smaller as those contracts are renewed or not renewed. But in the academy, Billy Chadwick, Louis Charlton, Harry Fisk, Ollie Green, Sin Hall, Josh Hines, Matty Jacob, Will Jarvis, Jake Leake, Harry Lovick, Tom McCauley, Tom Nixon, Dave Robson, Macaulay Snellgrove, Alfie Taylor, Harry Wallace, Harry Wood. The academy ones take with a pinch of salt because the club didn't actually say how long a lot of those contracts were. The assumption is from this football club, those first pro deals are typically 1-year pro deals, and the extensions that Green, Fisk, Snellgrove, Hines, etc. all got will pretty much mostly be 1 year for the most part, at my estimations. But yeah, there's a lot of players out of contract this year. There's a lot of players out of contract. Yeah, ask how did Johnny say he knows me? That's a question. I just thought I'd come back to that. Do I think we'll ever go? Yeah, I think we will get promoted at some point. I've only missed one away since World Cup. Also just turned 12 last week. Bristol, big birthday present. Nice. Hell of a birthday present that down to Bristol. I didn't do Norwich, mate. No. Des reckons we'll lose 2-1. Coxie says our performances haven't been great since we lost Sheffield United away. You know what? You make a good point. If you take away the QPR game after that, and Cardiff we played all right, they were a tough team, and we broke them down eventually. The performance levels have dipped, minus that QPR game, haven't they? And Rosenior has said he's drummed that into the players that yes, he wants to pass out from the back, and people think he wants to play pretty football, but he says his main priority is having a team that tries and that is hard to beat. He's made us hard to beat and hard to break down for the most part, but the performance levels and the effort hasn't been there in these last couple of games, and he said that himself. Right, shall we move on then? And team news is busy this week. So much so that I've loaded it up on my phone there. Let's get into it. So Cyrus Christie is a doubt for this game due to swelling around his knee. Demetrius Pelkas, he looked set to return from a minor injury that kept him out of the 1-0 defeat to Bristol City last weekend. But Rossignol is keeping him on the sidelines for this game. The same can be said for Matt Ingram. He suffered a hamstring injury prior to the trip to Aston Gate, and he remains out for around another week. But in good news, Alaya Sayadmanesh is in the matchday squad after recovering from his hamstring injury. He scored for the under-21s in the 3-2 defeat versus Burnley on Monday night in North Ferriby. Alaya played 45 minutes of that. My assessment of him, watching him, his quality was clear in that under-21s game, but you could tell he hasn't played for a while and he's quite rusty. Aaron Connolly, toe. Ryan Woods, unconfirmed. Jean-Michel Seri, groin. Nathan Baxter, ankle plus unregistered. And Vaughan Colville, knee, remain unavailable. That's your team news. Jeff, great to see you at Ferriby as well, pal. Yeah. Joe, my dad just told me everyone knows Johnny. Everyone knows Johnny. Yeah. Everyone knows Johnny. Coxie says, time to drop Oscar and start Tete. Bring Oscar on towards the end. Is the only good thing he's doing at the moment is winning headers in our own box. Maybe start him again when Connolly is fit. That's a big thing. I thought against Bristol City, we massively lacked movement in the final third. Connolly up there, we massively miss a player like him. And him, Alaya, when Ebio is up to speed, because Ebio showed flashes. Showed flashes of what he can do, but we lack movement. Alaya brings that, Connolly brings that, and I'm sure when Ebio is fit, he brings that as well. Ben loves Christie. Rossignol's team can't score goals. Well, goal scoring has been a problem for a long time at Hull City. So it's not just Rossignol's teams. Oscar needs a rest. Started every game since Sunderland, probably why he's been doing badly. Yeah, I think Oscar needs a rest as well. But at the end of the day, he's your top scorer. Can you drop your top scorer? No, not really. But I do think Oscar could do. Because I think when Longman played up front under Andy Dawson, that put a fire in Oscar. Because he was dropped, he was rested primarily, but Longman smashed it up front and it lit a fire in Oscar, and his performance levels increased after that. Yes, the red card against Millwall, but he came back from that, scored in the next 2 games that he played. Tigerler, ever since Seri got injured, we've been losing. Well, Seri's only missed 2 games, and it was a 0-0 and a 1-0, so I think that assessment is a little bit unfair. Dropped against Blackpool and Rotherham, 7 goals scored over both matches, exactly. And I think that, like I said, lit a fire in Oscar to say, look, I can contribute here. And refresh him. And now we've got Tete to come in and deputise. Why not give him a rest? Why not give him a rest? Yeah. Ref watch then. Let's hope it's a decent one this week. I've forgotten who it is. It's James Linnington, who was actually half decent at 1 game earlier this season, but another game was utterly dreadful. The 2 linos are Graham Kane and Mark Stevens. The 4th official is Keith Stroud. We'll move on to stats then. I've been talking for a while, so let me have a drink. Smash him. Stats taken from our game against Bristol City. Possession even, which sounds about right. Attacking wise, pretty even. Again, it seems about right, but it doesn't seem like we had more shots than them. They caused us so many more problems for me. The stats don't tell the full story here. Defensively, we had to do a lot more tackling and clearing, and these are the stats. These two here that tell the story. And fouls. We had to tackle and we had to try and just stop their attack by whatever means possible, because they were causing us problems, even if we matched them on shots and possession and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Ollie says he can't go because of Archie's birthday. Wish Archie a happy birthday for me, mate. Or is it because Coyle will probably start? I just want to put on record my congrats to Louis and Alia on the birth of the son Ezra. Yeah, really, really pleased for him. I won't see him in person for a little while, which is a shame because I'd like to congratulate him because I know how much this will mean to Louis and how emotional he will be. Not just the fact it's his firstborn, but also that he'll want to be a father in the same way that his dad was to Louis and his three brothers. Sorry. Chris was a hell of an inspiration to Louis. That's so clear in the way Louis carries himself and in what he says every single day. And I'm sure Louis will make an absolutely fantastic father. Largely in part to the lessons he'll have taken from his dad, who, although he isn't here, his presence is felt and his absence it's stomached by Louis every single day, and you can tell he misses him. And how he'd love to share this moment with his dad. That's very clear. And it's been a hell of an emotional year for Louis and for all of his family. But the Coyles are a close-knit family. The four brothers, they're always there for each other. Tommy, Rocco and Joe were sat just below me, Sheffield United. And yeah, so congrats to Louis. Absolutely congrats to Louis. He totally deserves all the best that all the best that the world can offer him, because he's a hell of a bloke, is Louis, and he gets unfair criticism. Bringing it back to the football, he gets a lot of criticism, which in my eyes isn't always warranted. But that comes with football, and it is a shame that fans, because he's had, from memory, Louis has had many less bad games than good than he has good games. He's not had many bad games at all as Louis. So yeah, wish him the best. Right, moving on to head to head. Let me get my sheet up for. No, I've clicked on the wrong thing there. There we go. For West Brom. So in their last game, it was a 4-2-3-1 with Josh Griffiths in goal. I think David Button might be injured, and I'm not sure what's going on with Alex Palmer. Who was the sub goalie? Let me just have a quick look. Oh no, it was David Button. Griffiths is the number one then. Well, good on him. I did not expect that. I probably should have researched that, but I didn't, and that's on me. But no, good on Griffiths for claiming his spot. It's good for the young lad. Hang on a sec. There we go. So then their back four was Darnell Fairlong, Darragh O'Shea, Eric Peters, and former Tiger Connor Townsend at left back. Their holding midfield two was Okai Ukushlu and Jason Malumbi, with Jed Wallace on the right, Grady Diangana on the left, and John Swift as the number 10 behind Daryl DK up top. And Corbran has got them playing really, really well. He's got them playing incredibly, incredibly well. And that's why it's going to be such a tough game. They are in decent form of West Brom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So their last 5. 1-0 win over West Brom, then over Coventry, then surprise defeat to Birmingham. Draw to Blackburn, defeat to Watford, and then they beat Middlesbrough last time out, which was a really, really good result for them, considering Middlesbrough's form. So a couple of bumps in the road there. But on the whole, they've been massively, massively successful since Carlos Corbran has come in. Our last 5, going up to a 3-0 win over QPR, then 1-0 win over Cardiff. Draw against... Oh, no, it goes there, doesn't it? 1-0 win over Cardiff, 0-0 draw against Stoke before defeat against Norwich, 0-0 draw against Preston before defeat against Bristol City. So, yeah, not wholly great form from us, let's be honest. But the league table, this is what tells the story, and the gap to the playoffs has increased up to 6th now. That is, as teams now are playing their games in hand, that is up to 12 points. And that as our form has deteriorated. But look at the gap to the relegation zone. That's 11. And that's the big one. We were here when Rossini took over, 1 point outside the relegation zone. We are now there, 11 points clear. And Reading are on the verge of a points deduction as well. I think it's 6 points they're getting deducted. So that at the moment would put them down to here on goal difference. And that would suck them massively into the relegation dogfight. Going on between Wigan and Blackpool and Huddersfield, all on 31 points in the bottom 3, and Cardiff and Rotherham, just above that, Birmingham there, QPR being massively drawn into it as well. But I'd say we are more or less safe. 50 points in the Championship is usually your marker of being safe. I think we'll get there. We'll get there easily, pretty much. We're on 42 now. We'll get there. We'll get there. I say that with confidence. Des, you. Oh. Oh God. Words fail. Words fail me for that opinion, Des. And if it is an opinion, fair. But it's just no. Andy Dawson would have had first dibs on the job. He was offered it, but he didn't want it. And he hadn't the experience. If you think Dawson's more qualified for the job than Rossini, then I don't understand what you're thinking. Dawson, academy at City, first team coach, an academy at Scunny, and was caretaker manager for a bit at Scunny as well, on a couple of occasions. But Rossini managed Brighton's under-21s, came in at Derby as a coach, and then managed them at the start of this season as they were getting out of their financial trouble. Him and Wayne Rooney almost worked miracles last season at Derby. They were close to staying up. But I don't quite get your opinion there, pal. With the most respect, I don't quite get your opinion. We'll move on to Around the Grounds then on Championship Matchday 35. We are the Friday game. On Sky. Ugh. And then on to Saturday. All of the rest of the games are on Saturday. Two 12:30 p.m. kickoffs. Cardiff versus Bristol City. That's Derby Day down south. And then Blackburn versus Sheffield United. All the rest are 3 o'clock kickoffs, and they are the following: Wigan versus Birmingham, Middlesbrough versus Reading, Watford versus Preston, Sunderland versus Stoke, Rotherham versus QPR, Millwall versus Norwich, Luton versus Swansea, Huddersfield versus Coventry, and Blackpool versus Burnley. And then next lot of games is next weekend. No midweek. Full rounds of fixtures, to be fair. Dawson saw more goals conceded than Rosenior. Rosenior's been in charge for twice as many games. Don't get how people can say Dawson is better. Exactly that. Do you know why Collier has 10 minutes max every game when he doesn't start? Unsure. Ask Liam Rosenior, Ollie. Coxey says, I think Rosenior needs another transfer window. Absolutely. Dawson made unorthodox decisions like Longman very brave. I'm not sure what your point is there, because did the unorthodox decisions always work? I wouldn't say putting Longman up front is particularly unorthodox, because when we signed him, we knew he could play on the right, on the left, all through the middle. I'm not sure where the unorthodox thinking is in that. But yeah. Okay. Why do we have two managers who are both defenders? Well, we only have one boss. We only have one gaffer, and that's Rosenior. It just so happens that he played at right back and Andy Dawson played at left back. Who'd have thought it, eh? Who'd have thought that sort of thing happens? I'm sure you can find other examples of that in the Football League. But if anything, that's what we needed. From the start of this season, we were leaking goals. When Rosenior came in, we had the worst defensive record in the league. And since he's come in, we've conceded the third least goals in the entire division. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If we got Conrad De La Fuente over the line in time, our attacking momentum would have been a lot better, I reckon. That's a fair shout. And I can see us going back in for Conrad De La Fuente in the summer. Greaves leaving, I've heard Brentford wanting. Well, it was rumoured the other day that Forest and Villa were interested. But I don't think he'll leave. He's just signed a new contract. I don't think he'll leave. Memorable match then. We'll actually go to our last win against West Brom on the 3rd of November 2018, a 1-0 win against West Brom at the KCOM Stadium, with Fraser Campbell leading the line and scoring that day. The team was David Marshall in goal. Back four was Eric Lee High at left back, interestingly enough. Reece Beck at right back, two centre-backs, Jordi Device and Tommy Elphick. The wide players were Bowen and Grzycki. Midfield three in the 4-5-1 was Henriksen, Batty and Irvine. Fraser Campbell up front. Bench was George Long, the goalkeeper, Kevin Stewart, Todd Kane, Will Keane, Robbie McKenzie, Max Sheaf, and Chris Martin, with Nigel Adkins in charge. And then last time out, 5-2 defeat. Oscar scored two, late consolation goals. But after Ozan Tufan came off injured when it was 0-0, a Callum Elder own goal set the ball rolling just before half-time. Then, just after the break, John Swift doubled the lead. Darnell Fairlong then added to it in the 55th minute. Carlin Grant scored a penalty. And then after a goal to make it 4-1 from Oscar, O'Shea made it 5-1 before a late second from Oscar made it 5-2. Our team that day was Ingram in goal. Back four was Louis Coyle, Tobias Figueiredo, Jacob Greaves and Callum Elder. In the midfield, Wait, hang on. No, Alfie was out. Oh yeah, Alfie Jones was holding that day, wasn't he? It was Alfie Jones as the CDM with Tufan and Slater, the more frontal midfield two. Randell Williams was on the right, Ben Tete on the left, and Oscar Estupinian leading the line. Bench was Nathan Baxter, Andy Cannon, Ryan Woods, Sean McLaughlin, Callum Jones, Jevon Mills, and Vaughan Coville with Shota Avaladze in charge there. And well, look, this is depressing what I'm about to show you. 6 defeats in a row against West Brom. 3-2 at the Hawthorns, 1-0 at the K-Con, then it was. 4-2 at the Hawthorns, 1-0 at the Hawthorns, 2-0 at the MKM, and 5-2 at the Hawthorns. Yeah, not good. Not a good record at all. Only won one of our last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Only won one of our last 12 in all competitions against West Brom. Dear, dear, dear. Yeah, that was wow. That was wow. If the injury crisis didn't happen, would Shota still be in charge? Absolutely not. Surely Greaves won't leave now that he's seen what's happened to Keno. Probably. Tufan coming off changed the game, I remember. Yep. Rosenior dropped Tufan. He's average. Totally disagree with you there, Des. As Will says, he's been one of our most creative outlets recently. Even though not everything he tries comes off, he's always a threat. Adkins would probably have kept us up in 1920. Very true. Owen says, how far do I think Adkins would have taken us? Now, McCann, before we had our fire sale on deadline day in January 2020, he had us 7th in the league, 1 point outside the playoffs after 26 games. The squad Adkins had was arguably stronger because McCann brought in, well, Adkins had the likes of Tommy Elphick and Fraser Campbell, whereas under McCann, we didn't necessarily have an out-and-out goal-scoring striker to complement Bowen and Grzycki. De Silva was signed, yes, but I think the team Adkins had was stronger than the team McCann had. And McCann had us higher up in the league. But I do agree with Ashley in the fact that had Nigel still been in charge, I don't think our demise at the end of that season, which took us into League One, would have been as sharp, let's say. Marcus, how are you? Hear me out on this, but I think there was a plot to get Shota out as manager. Well, ultimately, it is the players who sack any manager. Because the players don't just become bad players overnight, be it the manager's methods or just a run of poor performances. Yeah, the players do always sack, are always the ones who end up sacking the manager. Michael Dawson said that the other night. But it's quite clear now, with hindsight, that even though Shota was lovely and, you know, we had some great days out, Peterborough away, that night at Coventry on iFollow was a good night. That Reading game, the Cardiff home game in the all black kit, they were good days, but there's no doubt that when all these millions of players brought in who weren't already gelled, when he got there, that just wasn't. It wasn't necessarily what I think he wanted, and I do think losing big characters in that dressing room, like Eves, like Smallwood, like Honeyman, although we replaced them with better quality, I don't think losing big characters like that particularly helped him in terms of helping players gel. But looking back, and based on what people like Cyrus Christie and Jean-Michel Seri have said, under Shota, they lacked an identity of how they were meant to be playing. And they didn't necessarily have... They were just sort of sent out to play as good as they could together. And when you don't have an identity to fall back on, like they have now under a senior, things get difficult as a player. I want to start attacking the North in the second half, but we proved that doesn't make a difference. It got changed back, and for the 3 home games since then, we've won 2 of them. So it's clear that doesn't make a difference. Adjun wouldn't let Shota manage his way. Mind you, the players signed were unproven, as proved now. I do think some of those signings have been a success. Seri, Tufan's shown flashes. Aliyah will come good when he's fit. We saw glimpses of that last season. But equally, players like Cynic struggled to hit the ground running. Figueiredo has struggled. But I do think it'll be interesting to see what Rosenior might do with this squad in the summer. I do think it'll be interesting. Let's move on to shared shirts then, and we mentioned Kamil Grzycki briefly there, and there he is. Shared shirt signed for us from Rennes on deadline day in the January of 2017 under Marco Silva, and it was decent. It was very, very good. 123 appearances and 25 goals later. Deadline day fire sale. Part 1 was Kamil Grzycki. Part 2 was Jared Bowen. Grzycki went off with 6 months left on his contract for a fee of initially £800,000. That rose to £1 million because West Brom were promoted to the Premier League, which I think was a good deal for a player who was going to be out of contract. Who was on 31 grand a week. We weren't going to give him a wage increase or even keep him at that wage, so selling him was probably the best thing to do in terms of finances. In terms of performance on pitch, maybe not so much. He joined West Brom. He was with them from the January of 2020 through to, I believe, the summer of 2021 when he departed after 19 appearances and just the 1 goal, that goal coming in the Championship. Let's move on to my predicted 11 now then. In some form of a 4-3-3 / diamond under Liam Rosenior. In goal, Carl Darlow. Right back, Louis Coyle, the captain. I don't think Cyrus Christie will be risked just in case because we've seen our record with injuries this year. 2 centre-backs, Alfie Jones and Sean McLaughlin. At left-back, Jacob Greaves. Holding midfield, Xavier Simons. Central midfield, Tufan and Doherty. On the right, Ebiowi. On the left, Ryan Longman. And up top, Oscar Estupinian. The bench, Timothy Lottatala, Callum Elder, Tobias Figueiredo, Aliyah Sayad Manesh, Adama Traore, Regan Slater, and Ben Tete. I don't think there's necessarily much more that Rosenior can do with the players he's got at his disposal at the moment in terms of fitness. Connolly coming back will change things. Woods, Seri still to come back. Yeah. Dimmy as well, who's not fully fit yet. And then even Aliyah and Adama Traore, they're not match fit to start yet. So it will improve. And we've been saying this all season. Once we get players back fit, we will be better. But as soon as those players have got back fit, they've either got injured again. In Salah Adam Hand's case, got injured again and injured again and injured again before they're even fully fit and been recalled and never actually played. Or certain players have come back fit. Take, for example, Dokan Cynic. He gets fit, but a month before he's fit, Aliyah goes down for pretty much 6 months. So it's it's a bit of a yeah. And Rosenior said he's going to look to address what's gone on with the injuries over the rest of this season and in the summer, but perhaps this could be helped by the by binning off Hull Fair and getting us our new training facilities. Council. No, I'm kidding. I slagged off people for blaming Cottingham when realistically it is something deeper than the fact it's just porter cabins. It's not just, the fact someone walks into a porter cabin and immediately smashes their hamstring into a million pieces. That's not how it works. On to my predicted score then. Well, City have just tweeted all of the lights with a teaser. I'm going to mute myself here to see what this video is. Okay, it's nothing copyright. City have just put a video of light up watches with all of the lights as the caption. So, yeah, whatever that means. Predicted score, I reckon it'll be a 1-1 draw. I reckon it'll be a 1-1 draw. Yeah, I didn't want to show you the video initially in case it had any copyrighted music in it. That's why I muted myself. But, yeah, look. I'm not sure where I was going with that, but anyway. Yeah, I think it'll be 1-1 tomorrow. Let's have a look at this. Is Doherty worth keeping? My opinion is he's had 2 seasons in the Championship and hasn't really had much impact. Also, Slater has got worse under a senior. Under Shotter, Slater was amazing, but now he's bang average. I think Doherty has had a decent season, I think he's worth keeping because it's clear against Norwich when he was dropped. We missed him in there. And Slater is good. He's a good player. But I just think Rosenior putting him on the left most games hasn't helped his form and his confidence. Put him in the middle, playing his box-to-box role again, and I think he'll excel. How would I start? Is that my wanted 11? Interesting. Now, there's not much else Rosenior can do to that team. What I would do is I'd rest Oscar, bring Tete in. I'd put Longman on the right because when he's on the right, he seems to have a better game. And I'd play Elder over Greaves. Because the 2 home games where Elder played, we won. Because we put square pegs in square holes, metaphorically speaking. Will says we'll win 2-0. Shock win. They'll underestimate us. Aliyah and Tufan to score. Have I seen about the wristbands? They sound brilliant and the light show stuff. All right. Wristbands. All right. All right, cool. Wow. Wristbands and... Well, they always have a light show, don't they? But is it a new one? Because they had the Kanye West All of the Lights one, didn't they? Until he started to show off his slightly Austrian man-esque ideologies. So... whether they're going to bring all of the like song back and just cut out the Kanye bits, just have the Rihanna bits where she's going, turn up the lights in here, baby, extra bright. I want you all to see this sort of thing, because that's what she sang at the Super Bowl, isn't it? So it is possible to have something, to have the decent side of Kanye West shown, i.e. musical talent, without the anti-Semitism ideology. But then again, Hitler loved a bit of art, didn't he? Oh shit, I shouldn't say his name, I'll get demonetised. Austrian man did some painting in his time, didn't he? So I'm not sure what it could mean. But light up wristbands, I do like that idea. Get the atmosphere going a little bit during the darkness stuff, yeah. I didn't spend the Lewis Potter money. Now, in the big part, I think he started spending it, as Ashley said, before he left, and then spent the rest of it, or at least some of the rest of it, on the wages of people like Seri, Oscar, Tufan, and other players coming in. So and factually, you can't spend all the money at once because it gets paid in installments. So we didn't get 16 million into our bank account right up front from Brentford for Keane Lewis Potter. It's done in installments. So, you know, in terms of actually look at the figures for what we got for Lewis Potter and what we may have spent, he might have spent it, but it comes in installments. So he's not spent it all necessarily, but he's spent what it's worth, if you get what I'm trying to say. I think 6th is what I said at the start of the season when he says where we finish him. That's what he said at the start of the season. I think we'll be about 12th. I'll take that. Seeing if Adama plays and scores the winner. Right, predicted score. Yeah, I've said it, 1-1 draw. Yeah, all right. Thank you for watching, everybody. Friday night game does mean, quickly, on Saturday, kicking off at 12 midday at the MKM Stadium, is City's under-21s game against Sheffield Wednesday. The under-21s play some really, really good football. And I absolutely encourage anybody who has an interest in Hull City to go and watch the under-21s, see the likes of Jim Sims, Harry Vaughan, Will Jarvis, all play, and see what the future of this football club looks like. They play some really good football. It's free entry at the MKM for members. So get yourself down. All of the rest of City's under-21s home games are at the MKM Stadium for the rest of this season. There's one on Saturday, one over the Easter holidays, and there's one after, I believe it's the Swansea game, or it might be the Watford one, I don't know, one of them. Get yourself down to some of them. Free entry. Because the under-21s at Ferriby, they typically get about 100, 200 people there watching. They deserve a lot more than that for the football they play and for the quality of player on show. Get down there, support them, and take a look for yourself at what the future of this football club, this great football club, could look like. Because players like Jim, players like Harry Vaughan, they're stars of Hull City's future. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'll see you late on tomorrow evening for the Matchday vlog. Take care and goodbye.